That shirt is way worse. We have the two worst characters ever.
R2D2 is like the greatest character and one of the most like deadly.
And Jar Jar,
Jar Jar's a Sith Lord.
he was the one hanging out in that cave. I don't know who it was, but somebody posted a picture of a picture of Jar Jar instead of a Plagueis inside the cave, and it said Misa back, and I'm like, all right, at least somebody else got the joke.
Yeah, I saw that. That was funny.
Yeah. Everybody else is just bitching about how I don't know, somebody didn't use the right kind of cannons or something. I don't know. It's annoying, is what it is.
Yeah. It's the routine after a new Star Wars show comes out. There's heavy criticism and review bombing and all
Fans
that. Yeah.
have to let
And
everybody know that they're a fan.
well, there's the different segments of fans, and they all have their different opinions. And there is a small group that they do just automatically attack it because it's Disney. They watch it apparently because they have details, but they attack it and they will never
Star
like
Wars
it.
theory.
Yeah. Yeah, they will never like it, and they've built their whole personality on hating it. Then there are fans that have legitimate criticisms of the new projects because there are valid criticisms for all the
Right.
different Star Wars projects, and especially the Acolyte, because like the first 4 episodes are boring, and I don't care. Like they're boring, and you can try to defend it, but they're boring, and it doesn't draw you into the characters or the
Which
plot.
is half of the movie, if you think about it.
They with a movie is what it should have
Half of
been.
half of the trilogy, because it's like 6 hours long. Like all 8 episodes altogether, you know? It's a whole
It's
trilogy. Half the trilogy was a bust.
and that was the other thing. It's so much information and storyline and character development crammed into 8 short episodes. Like you
Yeah.
can't do that. And that's what Disney needs to learn. Like you can't do that. If you're gonna plop into the middle of a story like they always do in Star Wars, you gotta like give us a little bit more, make us like these characters, and give us a little bit more idea what's going on. Maybe don't make one episode the same episode, just from a slightly different perspective with a cool fight
And if
scene
you're
at
gonna
least.
do that, do it like right after. Like that should have been episode
Right,
2.
right. Like, make it a little more consistent.
Yeah.
And but I did like uh the cameos in the reveal. And I like, Plagueis is in it. And I like seeing the top of Yoda's head and his ears. It's spoiler alert, but I'm sure everyone's seen it
Do
by
we
now.
know that's Yoda, and do we know that's Plagueis? Are you just being specious?
Well, it's not Yaddle because Yaddle has hair. Yoda's
Okay.
bald from all the ketamine he does,
And what
and
about
and we
Plagueis?
we know it's Plagueis. Who the hell else would it be?
Another Mun.
Which
Mune.
people are like freaking out about the age, but it's like, you know,
It's Bright Abe. He's the ripe age.
well, it's like, and they never really established his age like they did in Legends, but it's that can change. Is it a big deal? Is it a big deal that their age changes?
Okay,
That
first off,
they're a little bit older?
Legends and canon, I don't care. It's stupid. Oh, I like this, I like that. Legends this, canons are this, and it's stupid. It's all fucking Star Wars. It's Star Wars. That's it. It's just Star
Right.
Wars. George Lucas created one story about a family, the Skywalker family, and the things that they involved with. Think about a weekend retreat at Bernie's. It's just their version of a family outing, a vacation or whatever. Then everybody else came up with a bunch of other Star Wars stories, and they liked some of them, so they called that canon. And now they're just shitting on everything because George Lucas didn't have a say in his. The motherfucker is sitting right there in the writing room with them the whole goddamn time, like saying stuff, letting them know. Yeah, they might take his position, they might not, but he's right
Like
there the whole time.
a lot of people complain about Ahsoka, but
Ahsoka was
George
amazing.
Lucas,
People are complaining about Mandalorian.
he's Lucas is the reason we have Ahsoka, because apparently Filoni didn't want to create that character, but Lucas did, and that's why we have
Mm-hmm.
Ahsoka. And people complain about Ahsoka, which I'm watching the show right now, and I don't understand any of the criticism. The one thing I get, or getting stabbed, it's that stupid getting stabbed in the side and you survive thing. They need to lay off that, but that's not enough to say it's a bad show. Ahsoka is very, very good, The
It
combat,
is.
the story, the acting, like everything's good. People complain about the choreography between Sabine and what's her face? I can't remember her name. The bad Padawan, but
Ah,
they're not trained very well. Like they're trained in the wild, like he says, and they're not going to be like Anakin and Obi-Wan. And that's another thing. Everyone compares other Jedi fights to
everything.
Anakin and Obi-Wan were like the top shit out of the Jedi. Not all Jedi are Anakin and Obi-Wan and Mace Windu. Like they're not all super good warriors. A lot of them are nerds, and they don't even
Plagueis
really
doesn't
do that
even
much
like
fighting.
Plagueis doesn't even like to duel. In the book, he would talk
Yeah,
about how he would leave his body and like do a master of the puppets thing with the Force because he didn't really find it very entertaining.
that's lame. Who wants to do that? Like, just have a cool fight. Give us a cool lightsaber fight.
Eh. The
You
Acolyte had
know,
awesome saber fights. I don't care what you say. It was
it
awesome.
did. It was
And
good.
you know what? One thing that I really liked was I finally felt okay hating Master Soul. Because the whole time I was like, I feel like I shouldn't hate this guy, but like he's a dick. And then at the end I was like, okay, cool. He is a dick. But then I felt bad because Venestra just pinned everything on him and I'm like, okay, now you're a dick. What the
Well, and
hell?
see, that's another thing. That's like a whole nother. There's a whole nother plot going on that we
Yeah,
didn't
that's a
get
whole other
anything
can of
from,
worms.
and it's like the only way we're gonna know this is if there's a
There's
season
season two.
two. And I don't. I feel
Thanks to the
like
fans, there won't be.
if there is, I would like to see some other writers and directors brought in and make it more of a collaborative project, and like
Mhm.
maybe expand on it and have more episodes and longer episodes and just get a little bit more into the characters and the
Yeah.
story and not make too many changes to the non-canon legends or whatever. Like try to incorporate as much of that as you can in, which they are doing, like the age things again. It's, I feel like it's something for people to just to jump on.
Yeah.
but there were, it was the writing and the there, it didn't draw you in. I'm like, why am
Well,
I? What is this?
so somebody told me a really good uh, concept idea. What if Plagueis was testing his ideas, his beliefs, and his abilities to create life on that planet way back when? Maybe he messed up, and he was just showing somebody like the mother, and he messed up, and it kind of what was that?
That was my refrigerator.
It beeps.
No, it just makes loud noises.
Oh, weird. Maybe he messed up, and when he was using a virgins, because he doesn't, exactly know what he's doing. It was his first time. He broke the person. That's why May and Osha are the same person. They're not twins. They're not, they're the same person split in two. Because he screwed up, and he had to use the virgins and the witches to help him, and he didn't, know his shit. Fast forward 100 years, he knows his shit, and he creates Anakin. There you go. There's your stupid
Well,
canon.
okay, but he doesn't create Anakin, and he never
I know,
did.
but
Not
they're
even
all saying they he did
what
in
I
the
think it
Force and this
is
and that.
I think the girls, it was some, maybe a clone, like a actual clone from the witch's DNA, and
Hmm.
then the Virgins broke it into two people, and that's what happened there. But it wasn't spontaneous creation. When Sidious and Plagueis were, they would meditate and just like prod the Force and push the Force and just be like, "Hey, Force, fuck you! Like we're making it evil now." And it threw the Force out of balance, and that's how they were able to like hide from the Jedi and manipulate the whole situation and manipulate the Jedi. And the Force was like, "Oh shit!" So then the Force creates Anakin as a counter action to their actions. And that's why Anakin ultimately, even though he destroys the Jedi, he brings balance because that's what he is. And that's
Well,
what
the
the
Force
Force
doesn't
is.
care about Jedi or Sith or any of that.
Right. It's like, I need to return balance and like put things back. And I think
Right.
that's why after Sidious, well, he's killed, but he kind of comes back. And I feel like the Force is creating more Force sensitive individuals, and that would explain Sabine in Ahsoka and like just other people developing the Force or just having more Force sensitive children, because all those Jedi were killed after Order
Is that
66.
what an acolyte is? Another force sensitive individual, another version of a dark Jedi, a fallen? Like, because they're using that term, like, he was using it with Sith or a Padawan, a trainer. Like, he wants an
Well, I
acolyte.
think, see, that the whole thing there, what I think is going to happen is uh, QIMIR, he's going to, either him or Osha will start the Knights of Ren, and
And
they will never become a Sith because Plagueis is going to kill them or kill one of them, and they'll never become a Sith by taking an apprentice. So then they become
right,
the Knights of Ren, and that's because the Knights of Ren don't necessarily like the Sith or the Jedi. They're like their own thing, and that's why they don't fall into the category as a Sith. One thing that would irritate me though is if they change Palpatine, Sheev Palpatine, or Sidious's age to make him like really old, to where he was like an apprentice at this time. Like, I don't want them to do that.
hmm,
I'm kind of hoping
nah.
that Tenebris and Plagueis are their thing, and then they're like, hey, who's this asshole? Like, who's this guy trying to be a Sith and take an apprentice? And they like kill one of them.
Season 2 of Ahsoka. Abeloth is going to be in it.
That
Is this a
apparently,
confirmation? Now, does this have anything to do with Solo?
not
That
that
big
I'm aware.
monster. That big monster in the black hole. Wasn't Abeloth like trapped or something in one of those? Or it guards Abeloth or some shit like that? Like, is
Her,
Solo gonna connect to Ahsoka somehow because of that?
I don't know because I don't know enough about the expanded universe with uh, Abeloth, because there's a lot and it's kind of like shaky. You know,
And
it's
they're
not
yeah, and if they're
fully
bringing
locked.
her into Ahsoka, then
I think she's on that planet in the other galaxy, and that's what Balin is sensing, and they're going to find her, and she's going to be how they get back because she wants to come to this galaxy. And I'm hoping they create some sort of project where they have Luke fight her, because that's what he does in, I can't remember what, if it was a
when
book or
does
a
Ahsoka
series.
take place?
After Return of the
After Return.
Jedi.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Abeloth might be. Oh wait, when is Ahsoka season 2 coming out? 2025.
I don't know. I think
Okay,
they're
never
just
mind.
starting the
Skeleton
film.
Crew's coming out this year, and it takes place after.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
I
but
kind of,
that looks like a
well,
kid show.
I've been told that it's Goonies in space. I've also been told that it's Stranger Things in space. I would prefer Stranger Things because they actually like have monsters and kill things, and I don't want to watch a show where they're not going to be like shooting stormtroopers or cutting people's arms off with lightsabers.
They're not.
They better. They
And
can't.
it looks like what he Jude Law's a droid.
That I don't know. I don't know what's
He's an
going on.
HK droid or
I thought
something,
he I thought he was supposed to be a Jedi. That's what
or
I
an.
read.
Oh, I thought it was supposed to be a. I remember reading that he was on a mission with his little training kids, and he came back, and the Death Star was gone. And he's like, "Oh shit! I guess we don't work for the Empire anymore." And then it was just lost in space with kids and Jude Law.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Either way, both shows take place after Return of the Jedi, so we're gonna get again, thanks to Disney, Prime Luke.
I hope so, and I hope they kind of like show how the, because I'll always say this. We'll talk about it on a different episode, but the Last Jedi is really, I think,
Garbage.
it's the problem that without that, if that hadn't happened, if J.J. Abrams had the whole trilogy, I don't think there would be as much hate towards Disney Star Wars. I think that's really what, because it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and it just makes you're like, this isn't Luke. How did he get here? And I wanted them to just retcon that and just delete it and just make a new one, start fresh. But obviously, they can't do that because that just is stupid. So I'd rather them
I
tell us
feel
how
like
Luke
you
got
could
to that point.
find Yeah, I feel like you could figure out something. Well, he lost a bunch of people in the Jedi Order that he was
See,
reestablishing.
they don't even get into that enough in the movie. You get more of that from that Kylo Ren graphic novel I was talking about, The Rise of Kylo Ren, than you do from the actual movie. And it's a graphic novel, and they give you far more backstory on Snoke and Kylo Ren, his relationship with Luke, the Knights of Ren, what happens between them. And like, it wasn't like they split off. He had other Jedi that didn't really like where it was going, and they followed him and went against Luke. And then apparently Luke fights Snoke at some point. They kind of alluded to that in the comic. So there's just a lot going on that they never got into in the movie. And it's like, that's vital information. Why did you give us a stupid ass scene where they go to the casino planet and they're like, oh, rich people, how can they be rich and lavish? Oh, these companies make ships for both sides. It was just stupid political garbage that
Yeah,
they interjected into Star Wars. Just like, oh, the military industrial complex.
and
Like,
the
I don't care.
whole ending where he's just like, where they're just showing Kylo show up with the whole entire fleet behind him. Fire, fire, more, more, more. Oh my god, shut up. It was annoying.
I thought that part was cool, but
I don't like Kylo Ren.
the whole like scene where it's Finn and the one chick and they're like in the little speeder things and then she hits him and then they crash. That was all unnecessary. It was all stupid. I was like, why are you doing this?
I think that, yeah, I don't like Kylo Ren at all. I think he's kind of like a whiny little bitch. Everything he does, annoying.
Have you seen the next one, the Rise of Skywalker, whatever the hell it's called? You might like him more after that. I did.
Where he falls in love with Rey.
No, it's you gotta watch it. It's better than Last Jedi.
I just don't like. Okay, he was really cool all the way up until the first 10 minutes of Force Awakens, and then he's like, "Oh hey, they got away," and he's like, "Wah wah," with a girl. Wah wah. It was super annoying. He just cries about his grandpa. Everybody makes fun of him for being a shitty dark side user, and he just takes it because he's kind of like a little bitch.
Well, yeah, but that's like
That's all I got. That's all I see in him, and that's not a villain to me. And then the villain is Snoke, and that's just a hologram for 98% of the trilogy, and that was just stupid. Just have Andy Serkis come out as a badass, like he was in Andor. Just a physical human. Make Andy Serkis just be himself. He's a cool guy. He's a cool villain. Better than...
Yeah. See, it's that whole plopping you into the middle of a story and not giving you enough context.
Yeah.
And Poe, didn't really get his character when I first saw the movies, but then when I watched the animated show Star Wars Resistance, I was like, well, if you watch the show Resistance, you're like, he's actually pretty cool. And then it makes sense in the movies.
His first, when he sits down in front of Kylo, he's like, so do you talk first or do I talk first? I don't want that in a Star Wars film. That's annoying.
Well, no, he's the comic relief, like kind of how like Han Solo was in the original trilogy. But they established that Han Solo is he's a funny, clever, like scoundrel guy. With Poe, they're just like, hey, here's comic relief. Just like, here you go. Like they don't even do any character development.
Oh, but also side project, he is also the best fighter pilot in the Resistance, so there's that. Oh, okay.
But if
like
you
everything was exposition in the first 20 minutes.
If you watch the show Star Wars Resistance, it gives you that character development. And I believe that was a Dave Filoni show. I could be wrong, but it's not the best. Even out of the animated shows, it's like, but your daughter will like it. It's a good show. There's not as much action and like fighting, which is why I was like, oh, this is lame. But
yeah, no,
they do.
My daughter likes action fighting.
I thought you said she didn't like when Ahsoka fought.
I don't know. She changes her mind. She's crazy.
Oh. Well, there's the second season. They're like, okay, we got to kill these stormtroopers. And they start beheading them and like dropping crates on them and smushing them. It's good.
I don't know if I'll watch The Last Jedi. No, I probably will.
You got to watch it just to see what it is.
I'm powering through everything.
You got to know. And you'll be like, why are you like this, Luke? This isn't you. Mark Hamill's like, I know.
I don't think Mark Hamill cares about much these days.
Well, he was unhappy with his character. He's like, here's the Luke they told me to do, but it's not really Luke. Sorry.
We went through my whole list. Abeloth spider space monster.
I had no list. This was just in my head.
That's all right. You actually already talked about mostly the Last Jedi stuff. I think what you should do is get super drunk and take notes while you watch The Last Jedi. And then we could have a Last Jedi conversation. Because I literally just edited a clip about you talking about The Last Jedi today. So everything you said, it was just a repeat to me. Like literally, no, word for word. The Crate, Season 2, everything. You literally just regurgitated an entire clip.
That could end up being my thing, though, where I won't do it on purpose. Just every time.
Hard to do. Oh, and also Resistance Season 2, like that's where it gets good. What? We're talking about fucking the prequels right now. Yeah, but Resistance Season 2. That's where you start to understand Star Wars as a whole. But for real,
I was just making my point about why people don't like Disney Star Wars, and it's because of that movie.
Yeah. I hope Ahsoka Season 2 is pretty good, but I really, 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 I don't know, man. They're going to do a Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I'm a little...
I know.
Like, the great part about The Mandalorian was it was a new story each week. My favorite episode was where he was trapped in the spider web, which was like just a random filler episode. It had nothing to do with the overall story or anything. I don't even think we had met Moff Gideon at that point.
I feel like if they spent more money and took more time, like if they just can't pump out as many shows as they would like to because they are putting more money into making longer episodes and more episodes, that's what it is. When you're watching these shows, you're like, okay, they have 8 episodes and they're like maybe 38 minutes, maybe 50 minutes for like the special, like, oh, this one has to be long.
But it's like, come on. Acolyte was only 47 minutes.
See, it's finale. Like we need more than that. When you're watching an episode and they're doing all this like nonsense filler and you're like, we're 10 minutes in, oh, we're 15 minutes, oh, the show has 10 minutes left, nothing's happened. Like, it pisses
and then you
off.
5 minutes of something. Yeah.
And then you have to wait. But then when you do eventually go back and rewatch it and you can just rewatch the whole show, then you're like, oh, okay, that's not bad. And I think that's why a lot of these shows do a little bit better later on. Like, now people are starting to like Book of Boba Fett, which I always liked it, but it's like more people like it now. And it's because you can just go back and watch it and just be like, oh, like it's all dumb, but I still enjoy it.
It's a good show. I liked it.